Welcome to the Left of Str8 Show with your host, Scott Fullerton, as we discuss everything under the rainbow sun, from LGBT issues to foodies, entertainment to books. Join us as we talk to some of the most interesting leaders and celebrity LGBT guests and allies on the internet. So grab a cocktail, it's always happy hour somewhere, and enjoy the show. Now, here's your host, Scott Fullerton.
Well, howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Left of Str8 Show. It is Monday, April 29th, 2019. Hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend. I'm your host, Scott Fullerton, and with me today is my fantastic intern, Miss Audrey. Audrey, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing really great. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Thank you very much. How was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was, you know what? It went really fast. I was very busy, and yeah, it was just like all of a sudden it was Monday, you know?
I hear you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I guess, you know, it's good to be busy, but you lose track of time.
Very much so. I was part of the $1.2 billion spent on the Avengers Endgame movie this weekend. I went and saw Avengers Endgame because I am a comic book geek and nerd, and spent 181 minutes of my life watching Avengers Endgame and loved every frickin' second of it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to go this weekend, but hopefully this next weekend I'll be able to go with the family and check it out.
Nice. It was a good time. Won't do any spoilers, but I thought, this was a pretty ambitious project. They were going to wrap up 21 movies. It's the 21st movie in the Marvel Universe series. Been over 10 years in the making, and they wrapped 21 movies up together. They brought back a lot of people from the individual movies of all the 21 movies. They wrapped up the storylines really well, and I was very impressed. They took 3 hours to do it. I didn't think they could do it all, but I was very pleased with the outcome. So I think you will enjoy it immensely. It was very cool.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. And I guess my only question is, do you have to see Captain Marvel first, or could you watch it without seeing it? You don't have to see
Captain Marvel. In fact, without saying too much of a spoiler alert, Captain Marvel is not in it as much as they teased in the beginning. They made a big deal on the last one of Captain Marvel coming to the rescue. The very last scene of the first part of this Civil War thing, or the Endgame thing, was Nick Fury calling out to Captain Marvel at the end of the last movie. So it made kind of a big deal out of it. And she was not really featured in it a lot. She was important in it, but she wasn't in a lot of the movie. So I was a little surprised by it, to tell you the truth. So you don't really need to see Captain Marvel. And a fun fact, as a matter of fact, Brie Larson, who plays Captain Marvel, actually filmed this Avengers movie before she filmed her own movie. So she had to write scenes for these movies and perform in here before she ever did her own movie. So it was kind of a tricky piece of storytelling that she didn't really have any idea what was going to happen in her movie. They had not even written her movie. They barely had written her story when they filmed Avengers Endgame. How wild is that in movie making?
That is. Usually they do stuff at the same time, but I guess, there's just too much going on. They had to do it when they could.
Yeah, it was kind of tricky storytelling, and they did that with a couple things. So I thought that was very cool. We got a great show, guys, coming up for you in just a little bit here. 2 great interviews today. In just a few minutes, I'm going to be bringing on singer and songwriter Hayden McHugh from Canada. He has some fantastic music we're going to share with you. We're going to start off with his song Calgary, which is where he's from, in just a couple seconds. And then in the second hour today, I have an HIV advocate and speaker, Josh Robbins. that is an amazing personality with a lot of great information to share. So we have a couple of great interviews coming up for you in a little bit, so be sure to stay tuned for that. We are exactly 5 weeks away from the Big Gay Road Trip. It's going to be on our very first show will be Monday, June 3rd, live from the Indulge Resort at Palm Springs. So be sure to tune into that. I will be heading out of here in about 3.5 weeks now. So I am looking forward to that trip across country. Going to be some fun times. So if you have not donated yet and you have a couple dollars laying around, you can go to the Indiegogo site, indiegogo.com, or go to the Left of Str8 Show website, www.leftofstr8.com. That's LEFTOFSTR and the number 8.com. Click on the Big Gay Road Trip link. You can donate $5 or $10 or more and get some cool little perks for donating to the cause. We're trying to raise money to bring some allies and one of our interns along with us. So you can look at that there. You can also follow along on the website. We'll be starting to announce this Wednesday, the 1st, all of our guests that'll be in Palm Springs. And we'll talk about the route, and we're going to have videos that'll be on the website. So that's all going to be interesting things. So be sure to look forward to that. The Big Gay Road Trip leaves Youngstown, Ohio on May 22nd. And our very first show is going to be on June 3rd from Palm Springs Indulge Resort. Got to give a big shout out to our media sponsors, of course, Pink Banana Media out of New York and LA, the hashtag I Love Gay LGBT, Twitter 360 Network. We have the What's Trending app in San Diego helping us out. We got CBT Candles in LA helping with our gift bags, and also TH Productions helping out with the gift bags. So be sure to watch for all of that starting very, very soon. We're going to have our guests on in a couple of minutes. Let's talk a little about what's in the news. Everyone was waiting Friday for Taylor Swift to drop her new video with a song called Me. It features Panic at the Disco's Brendan Urie, who I absolutely love. So that video came out at midnight Friday, 12:01 a.m. Friday morning, to much anticipation. And the movie is really queer as hell. Very good. Did you happen to see it yet, Audrey?
No, not yet.
It's a very good video. I got to tell you, I'm not a huge music person. I love Taylor Swift. I love different people. I know songs I like, but I don't pay that much attention to music except when I'm in the car. I don't listen to much at the home. But it's a very cool music video. It has a lot of different elements to it, a lot of pastel pantsuits and rainbow this and scenes from out of Mary Poppins and The Wizard of Oz. So very queer undertones to it. A lot of people were expecting she might be coming out as pansexual on it because she's been supporting LGBT rights and everything, which she didn't, and she doesn't have to, obviously. She is what she is, right. And good for her. Doesn't matter if she's an ally or part of the community. She's been a very good ally to the community. But the video itself is gorgeously shot, about 4 minutes. I tried to get a little clip to share with you, but it's pretty password protected right now, so I couldn't get it on the show. But it's a great video. Check it out. Go to YouTube, go to Taylor Swift's channel, and look under the video Me. And it is a lot of fun. I have to say, I wasn't waiting until 12:01 a.m. like a lot of people, but I saw it on Saturday and was very impressed by it. It was pretty darn cool. So check that out, Audrey. I think you will like it. There was a really good story over the weekend. A Brigham Young University, which is college right in the middle of Mormonville, USA, in Salt Lake City there. But the valedictorian of BYU at their graduation ceremony last week, his name was Matty Easton. He was a political science major at the university, and during his valedictorian speech, he came out as part of the LGBT community, as gay, and kind of wished everybody, regardless of their community, to be positive and to worry about being you. And I thought it was a very nice speech and pretty brave of him to do. was obviously hard for him. He had told family and friends before his years in college, but didn't feel comfortable. And at BYU, I understand that. It is a very Mormon college, and Mormons don't look down upon it too well. But good on Matty Easton. I reached out to him on social media. We're going to try to have him on the radio show in the next couple of weeks here. I thought that was kind of a cool story.
That is cool. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Do you watch Netflix much at all, Audrey?
Huh. I watch it every single day.
Have you heard about this new series Special? It's called Special?
It's actually, I've heard of it, and it's on my to watch list.
I have it on mine as well. I've not watched it yet either, but it seems very cool. It's kind of semi-autobiographical. I can't speak today. It's Mondays, guys. One of the creator and star of it, his name is Ryan O'Connell. He is an out gay man with mild cerebral palsy, and this is kind of a autobiographical tale about his life a little bit, and it's just fantastic. Jim Parsons from Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory is an executive producer on it, and it's just so well made. And this guy is so funny. He was on Trevor Noah the other day, did an interview, and I really enjoyed him. I need to get him on the show. So if anyone knows Ryan O'Connell out there, or if he has to be listening, we got to reach out to him because this show looks amazing. Check it out on Netflix. It's called Special, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm glad it's on your watch list, Audrey. I want to see it as well. It should be pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Netflix has been coming out with a lot of gay-themed series, and I think that's really cool.
Exactly. I am excited. Just a couple of weeks, we're going to have one of the writers of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. Is an out gay writer on the series, and he's going to be coming on the show. And I don't think next week. I think it's the week after. I have to check my calendar real quick. His name is Josh, and he writes on that series. I love it. Sabrina's in its second season on Netflix, and I love the first season. Did you happen to watch that, Audrey? The first season of Sabrina?
I didn't watch it, but my partner did, and she told me it was really good, and she blew through it in a day.
Nice. I like to binge watch. All right, we're going to have to jump to it, guys. My first guest has been waiting on the line patiently. We're going to go ahead and play one of his songs for you, and this is Calgary by our first guest today, Mr. Hayden McHugh. I'm very excited to be talking to him. Audrey, take us away and put us into to private mode here, and we'll be back in just a couple seconds. You're listening to the Left of Str8 Show right here on the Left of Str8 Radio Network.
I'm not so sure that I can stay high above these clouds with you. I'm not sure where I'm going to, but I have to leave. I can't be tied up in these city lights. I must be free to roam the earth. I know that you might miss me, but all these winding roads are taking me to where I'm feeling I must go. I know I must confess that I don't ever think I'll find my home. I must just be a wandering soul at sea. I'm not sure if I'll ever come back home to Calgary. Oh, no. It's unreal the way these mountains turn to dust, the way each moment turns to unsaving adjustments for the trust between ourselves. Each agreement is a bond, each goodbye takes us beyond this quiet forest. But now I know that I belong. Now I must confess that I might miss this place that I call home. I must just be a wandering soul at sea. I'm not so sure that I'll ever come back home to Calgary. Oh, no, no.
And we are back. That is the song Calgary, my first guest today. Guys, I'm so excited to have him on. He's a singer and songwriter out of Calgary, Canada, that I came across on Instagram a while back, and we both happened to reach out to each other around the same time to get him on the show. By 18 years old, he'd already written and created his very first EP called Lion's Breath, and he's been creating songs and some great music ever since. Not just content to pursue his own dreams, he also founded an amazing organization called Music Gives, YYC, that works to create opportunities for younger kids to pursue their dreams in music as well. He's used the organization to raise thousands of dollars for the cause and to put on benefit shows that help raise awareness of the Calgary music scene. I'm excited to bring his music and talent to all my listeners today, so please welcome to the first time to Left of Str8 Show, Mr. Hayden McHugh. Hayden, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. It's been great talking to you. We've been following each other on social media for a while, and I think you actually reached out to me first, and I had a note that I was going to reach out to you, so I'm glad we connected. That was very cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to be proactive with getting my music out there. It's a fun time. I love it.
You should.
Thank you.
Is very fantastic. I love all of it. How's everything in beautiful downtown Canada today?
It's actually snowy. We got a little bit of last-minute snow, as we usually do. It's kind of has a tendency to trick us into thinking that it's going to be really nice out, and then all of a sudden it just kind of, we actually had a snowstorm where several people were in accidents all over the road, and it was causing people to stay home, and right smack in the middle of our April showers. So nice though. It's already melting away, and so we're gonna have some green grass in no time, I can imagine. So it's great. I love it.
There you go. I have not been to Calgary. I've heard of the Calgary Stampede, of course, and I've been to a lot of different places in Canada, but I haven't been to Calgary. Were you born and raised there?
Yeah, I've never moved. I've literally been here my whole life. It's pretty fun. Great city. I can definitely recommend the things like the Calgary Stampede make us for sure world famous. I don't know if anybody else knows anything else about us, but that is our kind of shining feature.
Well, talk about growing up there. What kind of a kid were you, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
I pretty much always wanted to be a singer, I think. When I was a kid, my mom bought me one of those little tape recording things, and I just filled it up with stacks and stacks of tapes of singing whatever songs were kind of around the house. My parents never really kind of kept music from me as a kid. They never, I think parents now have a tendency to be we're gonna, they're gonna limit their listening to certain things. But I remember my dad was, when I was probably 7 or 8, listening to Salt and Peppa and things like that, just in the car. And so I was always really influenced by kind of their kind of styles of music. And it was, growing up in Calgary was great. I loved it. It's a really great city. They've got lots of kind of professional performance organizations exist in the city. There's kind of two big ones, the Young Canadians and the Youth Singers, and I was part of the Youth Singers program to do kind of an all-around singing and dancing and acting sort of training. And I took piano lessons growing up as well. My parents put me in them. There was like a little period where I was like, I hate this, and I really wanted to quit, but I I eventually kind of got over that. It was mostly just because we were doing theory, and I really didn't love learning in the kind of organized structure. So it's great because my piano teacher was awesome. She gave me the opportunity to learn theory and music theory through composing and arranging my own music. So I'd like play her out this song that I had arranged, and she would kind of help me go through the process of like basically transposing this piece of music so that I could have it actually kind of professionally written out, I guess. Yeah, that's great. Now kind of growing up a little bit older, I was doing lots of the kind of open mics and stuff like that, and there's tons of those growing up in the city. Some of them are really small, but there are some really popular ones that I tried to go to frequently. Places like Cafe Koi, I would go there all the time, and I still drop in there every once in a while. I worked there as a server for a while when I was a little younger, and yeah, it's great. It's been handy. I've like often had dreams of being in kind of more popular cities, but I think with the advent of the internet, there's not really as much of a requirement for me to go out there and move to, Toronto to necessarily be successful. I can really kind of barter my time while I'm here and maximize on that. And then when I get there, when I'm a little bit more successful and really know I have some fans, then I can travel to those areas and cater to those people who are in those areas.
That's fantastic. I love that. And yeah, so you were producing your own music at 16. That was part of these piano lessons then? Talk about that.
Kinda, yeah, a little bit. Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
I said, how was that like? What was your first experience producing your own stuff? What made you even know how to do any of that?
I was trying to find basically I can see these things all on my Facebook memories. I love that app because I can get all these like reminders of what I was doing like years ago. But I was trying to find producers who would work with me doing the genre of music that I want to do. And Calgary really has a tendency to be kind of like a rock and roll and a rap kind of oriented city. And I really wanted to do, like, I really was, some people would make it cheesy, but I really enjoyed pop music, and it was kind of my favorite thing, and it always made me really happy, and so that's what I wanted to do. And but I couldn't find anybody who wanted to do the music the way that I wanted to do it. I had like some actually really bad experiences working with some producers. This guy was trying to make this song, this like rock and roll, like almost metal song. And I was like, I understand that it has a little bit of that vibe, but it's mostly pop. Like, so we need to kind of stay in that realm and all these other things. But he was really pushing me to kind of do the songs the other way. And I was thinking like, no, I don't want to do that. I really, really want to do this. This is kind of my thing. But yeah, it's, doing the piano lessons was really helpful. I kind of taught myself how to do the production, which meant a lot of the stuff at the beginning was really bad. To be honest, I was never like fantastic at it to start. I kind of put a lot of stuff together that was just kind of mediocre. And something else I tried to do lots was like kind of producing my own versions of other people's songs, because then it's easier to kind of produce them because there's a guide of, what the song already kind of sounds like.
Sure.
And then once I kind of got better at that, then I started to kind of do my own songs and do some stuff to release. But having piano lessons has been really helpful. I know a lot of people who struggle with learning how to produce because they can do all the sounds and they can do all the organization of like kind of making the song sound good, but putting together chords and things like that is something that kind of, it takes a lot of training to learn how to do, and years of scales basically.
Right, exactly. Now, do you play other instruments, or do you do all your writing off the piano to start with? Do you transpose any other type of musical instruments?
I would say that I do most of my writing on the piano just because that's my main instrument, but I do also play the ukulele and like very seldom the guitar. I can kind of only play my own songs on the guitar pretty much. I never really do anything else on it. But I can perform my own songs on them. I do those live sometimes, but that's about it.
Nice. I like that. Guys, I forgot to tell you out there too, we do have the chat rooms open today. I haven't had my chat rooms open, Hayden, in 3 years, but I have these fantastic interns now. So Audrey is manning the chat room. If you're listening out there and you have any questions for Hayden or myself, go ahead and go into the chat room. If you click on the live link at Blog Talk Radio and scroll down to the bottom underneath the slideshow there, you're going to see not only handsome pictures of Mr. Hayden there, but you're going to see our chat box. You can type in any questions there, and Audrey will let me know what you have there. Talk about your writing process. Do you do a little bit of mix of lyrics and melodies, or do you usually start with a melody and add lyrics later, or what's your process when you write?
I would say I do a combination of both. It sometimes makes it a little bit more complicated doing it this way, but I really like having them both come at the same time. I often will start with like a chord progression. I really will find like a series of 4 chords or something that I think is really cool. And then I just try to essentially I kind of improvise for a few tries and I just try to see what comes out and see if I really enjoy a melody working with that. And half the time I just end up throwing it out. I'm like, oh, this is cliche, or it's boring, or I just don't like it. But every once in a while you come out with something that is really cool, and it feels really random sometimes. Sometimes it feels really just kind of stabby in the dark, like, oh, I wonder if this series of notes works together. I wonder if this chord works with this one. Oh, what happens if I change this chord to a minor chord? It makes it much more dramatic and sad. Or it's a lot of when I go about writing my songs, it's much about just trying to feel what I think the song is about, because sometimes I don't even necessarily know when I start. When you just make up a line, you're like, okay, that's a really cool kind of emotion or idea. Let's build on that and let's see what I can go to. I found it's funny for me. I find that I have a tendency to write songs for myself in the future. It sounds kind of stupid, and it's not like I'm a psychic, but just that I'll write a song and I'm like, oh, that's so dramatic. Like, that's such a cool idea. And then a few years later, I'll be going through a situation and I'm like, oh, wow, I really feel that emotion that I was writing about in that song. And I could really use that right now. It's really silly because I'll say that and people are like, oh, so you're a psychic, you knew you were going to go through that. And I'm like, wait, no, I'm not. I didn't know I was going to go through it. It's just that I just happened to be in that situation later. And none of my songs aren't necessarily overly complicated. They're very much just I try to make them relatable. I try to make them so people can actually connect with them, and so that really plays a big part of my writing. And so I make sure that people will understand the emotion. So it's not like it's very complicated for people to get understanding too. But yeah, it's not that complicated. Very stabby in the dark. People always ask me, oh, I've always wanted to start writing. I'm like, you should just do it. Just literally throw a chord and throw a chord progression and some lyrics together and see how it sounds. And the key is melody. The key is melody, and the key is and a good hook, and then you've got it. There's so many audiences out there for so many types of music that if you are doing something, there are people out there who want to hear it. So you just got to find them. They're just hard to find sometimes.
I like it. That is very cool. I love all of that. Now, who were your inspirations when you were growing up, or who did you listen to mostly when you were younger?
I was definitely a stereotypical 2001 gay boy listening to Hilary Duff and Avril Lavigne. They were my top bops for sure. I had all of their CDs, and my friend called me one day and she's like, oh, my brother can't come to the concert. Do you want to come? And I probably cried a little bit when I got to go see Hilary Duff live. I have always really liked a lot of pop music. I have always kind of been really fascinated by the way that it hooks you in. Even people who don't like pop songs, a pop song done well will be appreciated by pretty much anybody in the whole entire world. And so that's what I kind of have loved about it my whole life, is just that genre of music that connects with you no matter kind of who you are. Lots of genres have a tendency to kind of like not, I don't want to say alienate, because they're not kicking anybody out and saying go away, but they're definitely there's definitely a certain type of individual who's going to want to be a part of those things, and but a lot of pop music tries to speak to what I say a lot to lots of people. I sound like Bono with music will save the world method, but not necessarily that far.
Right, exactly. Very cool. I love that. Now, talk about that. You are an out and proud performer in there. You played Pride festivals all over the place. When did you first come out to yourself, and when did you start coming out to others?
I was pretty young. My parents kind of told me that they knew that I was gay and that we should probably talk about it. And I was like, no, Mom, I'm bisexual. How about you just go screw yourself? I know me better than you. But that was not necessarily the most accurate thing in the world. But I just, and then, that happened when I was probably 14. I was going through some serious sort of depression. My parents had put me in a Catholic school so that I could learn French. But it kind of made some conflicting sort of internal dialogue, I would say. But it was fine overall. And then I came out in grade 10 at school. I was in my second semester, and I had decided to take biology 20, like the grade 11 version of bio, early, because you could take sciences ahead of time if you had a spare in your 10th year. So I was like, I'm going to do it. It's going to be fun. But I expected there to be a lot more grade 10s in there, but it was only a small group of us. And I just remember one of the grade 11s turning around at his the black science stool desk of the two people. And he turns around and he looks at his phone and he looks at me and he's like, my friend wants to know if you're gay. And he was kind of I don't think he really intended to be antagonizing, but it kind of ended up being a little bit that way. And plus I'm just really sensitive. So I think I took it a little firmly, but I was a little taken aback, and this girl looked at me and I was I kind of didn't really know what to say. And I was still for a moment. And then I said, is that a problem? And I was I don't know where I got that kind of level of confidence. This guy was significantly bigger than I, but he kind of got a little flustered and he's like, oh no, I was just curious. And he turns back around and my friend's looking at me. She's all shocked because she's never heard that I was gay before. And so that was it was kind of a moment for her to be like, oh, that's weird. I don't care, but that's good for you. And I was like, yeah, I guess. I was probably one of the only gay kids that was out of my school. There was a couple of ones who were older, but they were also the one out of the whole group. I think they were always just several grades above me, and everybody was always segregated into their grades for some reason. But yeah, it was okay, because most of my teachers were totally okay. I only ever had one teacher who was really prominent on you're not really allowed to talk about it and push it, but if you just quote, if you just say, oh well, the Bible says quote unquote, you can kind of get away with it, and he would say that occasionally. But everybody else, a lot of the teachers, when they would say those things, they would either just skip it. I think one of the teachers felt obligated to say it. So he would say, well, the Bible says this, but this is what most people kind of have come to agree nowadays. And so there was never a moment where whatever, but yeah, it was, that was my coming out kind of experience, I would say.
That's pretty brave to come out of the Catholic school. I'm impressed, my friend. That's braver than I think I ever was. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it.
It's different nowadays. I think it was mostly kids. I would say a lot of the and you don't have a lot of the teachers either who are very outwardly homophobic, and so it's pretty much just it was pretty fine. There was never really times some of the other kids were mean, but there was never any sort of threats or anything for me at all.
Very cool. I like that. And then, so I'm sure that helped inform your decision to be an out musician too. Did you ever think about when you started to put out your music, you'd have to go back in the closet, or that was never a consideration? You knew you had to be you.
I think I was a little late for that. I think a lot of people knew about it, and if I had kind of started pretending otherwise, people would people would be like, what the fuck? Like, you said this a while ago. Like, why would you do this? Like, don't go back on it. Am I allowed to swear? Sorry, I didn't even ask.
Yeah, you can. That's fine. We're good.
Okay. I was just wanting to make sure. It's like, wait a second. But no, I think it'd be kind of inappropriate to go back on it. I think, like, especially in now the day and age, like, there's really no point. Realistically, there's only small subgroups of people who, and I mean, like, they are large groups, and we should deal with them. But there are mostly, like, smaller groups of people who are very outwardly homophobic or who are very outwardly against the gays getting married or trans people or anything like that. And so
right.
we do need to continue to think about it and to kind of, like, push for it. But there was no fear for me, I guess. Like, there are some kind of extreme, really unfortunate cases, but especially where I live, we're pretty metropolitan, we're pretty forward, and I felt like it would just be better as well for everybody else, and just to be a representative for other kids who want to do the things that I wanted to do,
That's fantastic. I love that. Well, we're going to play your song, Take You, in just a couple of seconds. Talk about that for a second. I love the music video. I love the journey of the sparkly gold piano. Talk about the making of the video and the making of that song. Very cool.
Thank you. I was really excited about this one. This is probably the first song that I produced entirely on my own that I was like, I really appreciated it and I loved it. And this is one that I don't know, that I just really, really liked a lot. It was a lot of fun to make. I've been learning a lot lately about how to make these sounds and how to manipulate them and how to make them really cool. And I had to layer like 20 different piano tracks to make the piano sound really good all throughout the whole number. And then after I kind of had finished that was a lot of fun producing it. And then I went to the studio with a couple of my friends and we recorded big choir vocals for the end. And then once we got to the music video production part, I spent probably 25 hours with that piano in my garage. In total, I painted it blue first, and then I was like, no, this is not enough. And then I painted it in silver glitter after that. I painted it white first, and then I painted it in silver glitter so that the blue wouldn't show. And then, it was ridiculous. I had to, basically what I ended up doing is we put the piano in a U-Haul. We used like a furniture dolly to pull it up and down. It's like it was way too small, to be honest. Like the furniture dolly was not appropriately sized for this, like moving essentially like a piano from the 1960s. And we put it in there and we did this starting at 5 a.m. through till noon, basically. 6, I think it was, yeah, I don't even remember. It was like 6 or 7 hours going around we did, I think, 12 different locations in total when we filmed with just the piano. Several locations just kind of didn't really turn out as good, so we didn't include them. But they still ended up being really cool shots for advertising, and people were walking by and being like, what the hell is this? And taking videos and stuff, and that was really fun. And then we went forward from there. I then dropped the piano off back in my U-Haul and dropped it at home, and then I got in my car and drove to our dance location where we filmed the dance a little bit, which was really fun, choreographed by my friend Sean Butler. And
you got the moves, my friend. You like it. I like it.
Thank you. They were fun. It was a lot of fun to do it. I have done like lots of dance growing up, but it was a lot of like very generic, like I don't want to say generic because it's a bad word, but like it was very like kind of musical theater style dance and kind of commercial and almost like hip hop. And so this one was very like kind of almost hip hop styled specifically, which is a little bit out of my comfort zone. But it was great. It was really fun to learn. We learned the dance in like 2 weeks, and then we filmed it. It was so hot. I made everybody wear these sweaters. We're all matching, which was so fun. I actually ended up finding these like $200 pair of like Nike shoes that were like these big white boots just so I could match everybody else. But I found them on Kijiji in exactly my size. They were the only pair listed. So that was fun. And then we actually got it in front of the Stampede. So you mentioned that. I wanted, or actually it wasn't even my idea. The videographer, Maxwell, I talked about Stampede, and I was like, that's so bad. It's drunk people are going to be wandering around and bugging us and getting in our way. But then he was like, well, actually, we should take it to the hill above Stampede and get and then take a video while the fireworks are going off. And so we dragged the piano up past the police officers, and I waited for the RCMP to go away. The Royal Mounted Police are on their horses walking back and forth on the hill. And I just drove my U-Haul up there and pulled the piano up and then left it there and then drove the U-Haul away. And they're wondering how we got a piano out here. I think they assumed that we just like pulled it out of one of our houses. I was like thinking that the police was going to think it was like us trying to like put off a bomb or something, but I was like, no, like it's just my piano in the back. Like you can look in it. I don't care. But we took it up there and we got a really beautiful shot. I have it. My mom has the shot now of like the whole, it's got all of the downtown city of Calgary as well as all of the theme park of the city of, or the Stampede in the middle of downtown, as well as the huge stadium where they have the performances going on in there. And yeah, that was amazing. We got the shots of the fireworks going off at the end, which really kind of made a good finale for it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a great video to film. I loved it. I have never had so much fun filming something in my life. I am looking forward to doing more videos like that with like high production and stuff. It was really great.
Nice. Well, we will encourage everyone to go check it out after the show today. Let's go ahead and give our listeners a listen here. This is Take You. We're talking to the singer and songwriter Hayden McHugh right here on the Left of Str8 Show. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
I'm burdened by all the things that keep me down. I just keep wondering if you'll come around. Yeah, I know I'm hard to take. Yeah, I know you have your ways, but if we try, I know that I can love you better than they can. Lately, I've been doing a little thinking about the way you make me feel so alive. But every time I see you're holding him, I go all kinds of crazy. But let me try and show you that I can love you better than they can. I've been running all my life to find you right here by my side. Oh babe, I'll never let you down. I won't need another next life, 'cause with you I will be just fine. Babe, let's hit the road. I just wanna know, will you let me, baby, let me take you home. And I just wanna know, will you let me, baby, let me take you home. Let me take you home. Let me take you home. I don't know how to tell you I'm going crazy. Each day that passes feels like thousands of years. So I'ma try to keep my composure, do my best to get to know ya. But let me try and show you that I can love you better than they can. I've been running all my life to find you right here by my side. Oh babe, I'll never let you down. I won't need another next life, 'cause with you I will be just fine. Babe, let's hit the road. I just wanna know, will you let me, baby, let me take you home. And I just wanna know, will you let me, baby, let me take you home. Let me take you home. Let me take you home. I just wanna know, will you let me, baby, let me take you home. I just wanna know, will you let me, baby, let me take you home. 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 Let me take you.
And we are back. That was Take You by my first guest today, Mr. Hayden McHugh. Hayden, I love that song. We got to hear all about the music video and the making of it a second ago. Talk about, we opened up with your song Calgary, which is actually where you're from. You talk about it being a tough but strong place to be from. What was tough about it, and what makes you stronger for being part of Calgary?
I would say that we are. It's a really great city. Like I always like tell people what the song is about, and people always go, "Oh, well, I love it here, and it's wonderful, and I've moved here from elsewhere because, where I was from was worse, I just was having a hard time where I was, and this place is so much better for me." And but I think I've always struggled again because of the the type of scene that we have here a little bit, and I always wanted to do my particular genre of music, and kind of country rock and rap kind of dominate our area. And so the song a little bit was about my almost desire to leave a little bit, and that kind of back and forth feeling of, I want to be there. I want to love this place that I'm from, the place that kind of, shaped me and molded me into who I was. But I want to feel like what I'm doing and these things that I'm doing are progressing and are going forward. And so, when I was writing that song, the kind of feeling that I was having was that I'm never going to succeed if I don't leave this place, if I continue to live in this place that's, in this place that doesn't kind of necessarily fit all the things that I want to do and want to be, then I'll never make it. And unfortunately for me, that wasn't necessarily true, but yeah, that was kind of what the song was about. I really do love where I'm from, and as I've kind of grown older, because I wrote that song probably when I was like 18, so that's like 4 or 5 years ago, and but now thinking on it, I do sort of feel that way, but still would always want to come back. I would never want to leave permanently. I think like a lot of my family would end up being here, and I don't know if my parents would ever want to move anywhere else. They really love it here, but yeah, I would definitely, I might want to like go beyond this place a little bit, and that's kind of what that was about.
And it is beautiful shots. I mean, you take shots all around Calgary, and it's a beautifully made video that goes with it. So that's very awesome. I love that. And then we're going to play out in a little bit with Wicked Games. That was a part of a short film, or was a short film made around that song? Talk about that video a second.
Yeah, that was just it was like one of the first videos that I had ever done, and I had this kind of bad experience with a guy trying to do this one video a while ago where he just kind of fell off. But I talked to this guy about doing a video, and he also was kind of struggling to work with people to kind of get some material out there, and he was like, well, I really want to start doing music videos. So we just discussed what we could do, and I really love playing the piano. I always really have, and so we really wanted to do this this kind of video featuring around kind of like, it's how do I describe it? We really wanted to kind of demonstrate like what the song was about, and show this like the idea of kind of like when you're out and they kind of, it's almost like about the dating world, where you're kind of going out and finding people, and it's kind of hard, like, fighting through all the people to get to meet some people or meet somebody that you like. And we wanted to kind of demonstrate that, and also feature again some really cool places in Calgary, because I really love, I've always been inspired by music videos that really kind of utilize either natural or like really cool architectural space that's already in place. It's really cool to like build a set for a music video, but I also just really like when you can kind of almost make a moving photograph almost of like an area basically, and you've given it its own feature. So we've kind of taken some bits out of Chinatown, and we've taken some bits out of kind of the piano that we used in there, where I'm playing the piano in the scene again, was actually donated by a guy. He died a few years ago. He kind of left a whole bunch of money for the piano to be taken care of after he passed away. Unfortunately, some drunk people kicked it over, so it doesn't exist anymore. But it's cool now that I have this kind of moment captured in time of this piano. That was really quite beautiful. It was awesome. It had all this, I don't know if in the video it really features it super well, except for in a couple like quick shots, but on the top they had all these plants that were always growing, and that was really cool because that actually kept the inside of the piano really moist, which is really good for it. And It was really cool kind of initiative.
Awesome.
I hope that the city brings things like that back. They try to throw pianos up all over the place that are donated.
Nice. So it's too bad to hear about it. That's a great
up.
story. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, we only have about 10
great.
minutes left. I want to get into Music Gives. Talk about founding this. What was your impetus for this? And talk a little bit about this organization. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. I really just wanted to – it kind of just sprung from this idea where I really wanted to do a piece of merchandise that I would donate a portion of the proceeds to charity. I was like, I could do these bracelets was the original plan, and I could sell them as a way to raise money for myself because I really wanted to kind of support myself as a musician, but then also to work with to kind of work with an organization to potentially raise money. I finished, I got a diploma a few years ago or started in a few years ago for event management. And so I was looking for ways to kind of like get that experience going as well and just try that out. And so once I tried to start running this program, it was really cool because it actually gave me a platform to put on events for myself, and I could run events that I could perform at and share my music and share my art. While simultaneously kind of doing something that I'm really passionate about, which is bringing music to kids who don't necessarily have access to it. I've kind of enjoyed doing that for a long time, working with this program called STAR with youth singers. After I finished kind of joining the programs and learning from them, I wanted to kind of pass that on. And so I spent 5 years up until the last year working with kids with special needs, teaching musical theater and doing kind of singing and dancing with them. And then that kind of brought me on to wanting to do this and to bring music to kids who struggle to kind of have that in their lives, because I believe that sports programming is really presented in Calgary. There's lots of programs that are like, bring your kids, get your kids into sports. And if you don't have the funding for it, we're going to figure out a way to get you there. But not a lot of those exist for musical programming, and musical programming is really expensive, just like sports. Sports are also expensive. Equipment of any kind is expensive. But there is not necessarily enough, what I believe, programming kind of presenting that to kids. And we have a tendency to present things to very kind of like schools that do have lots of money and do have the opportunity to bring that. But there are lots of schools that fail at bringing the appropriate level of musical education to their students. I remember in like 5th grade, I got a D in music because I learned the recorder the left-handed way. I could play all the songs perfectly, but I learned them the left-handed way, and so I got a D in the music class. And I was like, this is wrong. I think back to that and thinking, this is not appropriate. You're going to disinspire kids to go into music because they think that playing it the opposite way, like playing the left-handed way, is the wrong way. I just have a tendency to do that. I've always, for some reason, like when I learned to snowboard, it was the same. Like I learned the left kind of footed way. And so it didn't really make sense to me at all why, and like now in hindsight, as a kid, it was just like, well, I don't know why you guys would do this to me. But now as like an adult, I like realize that it's kind of a lapse in judgment that where teachers don't even understand what they should be focusing on, right? Like it's not about what hand you play with. It's about making sure that you play the notes in time, in the appropriate series, and you make it also musical, right? That's the other key. And instead of focusing on that, they were really focused on, this other part. So it's kind of grown and developed. At first, it started with us like really selling these bracelets, and we were working to incorporate other musicians into it. They would sell bracelets as a part of their merchandise, but then it felt a little pyramid schemey, and it wasn't really working out very good. And so when I changed my method, and I was like, well, I'm just going to sell these. So we started to sell them online, and we started to sell them at markets and kind of attending places, and we would also have musicians come and attend events with us. And that was really great because they would kind of perform and talk about us and talk about how they would kind of provide stories of, oh, this was my experience growing up with music or my lack thereof and what I would have benefited from it. And then, but now we're kind of just expanding a little bit more where I really want to mostly just go into places and assist and bring teams of people together to do things. My original goal was to work in schools. But it's very hard to kind of work in the private sector or the kind of public school sector in that way. So I wanted just to start with various programmings. We've done camps where we've offered like music days where they like offer camps for kids whose parents can't necessarily afford summer camps. And they play theater games and play games that are kind of musical orientated. And my goal now is to kind of also provide kind of like a networking opportunity for musicians to provide instruments that they're not using anymore, where we can pass those along to kids who are going to use them. Like a kid who's going to learn the guitar doesn't necessarily need, the fanciest guitar in the world, and so getting you started on an instrument is a really good way to kind of just get it. And they're a huge investment for parents, unfortunately, to like acquire some of these instruments. So that provides them the opportunity to try it out. And if it really works out well and the kid is showing that he's really enjoying it, then you maybe don't mind kind of like we can work with the kid or something to save up the money to do it. But especially at first, you really don't want to be throwing money around at like a $700 instrument that you're afraid somebody's going to leave around.
Right. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are people able to buy the bracelets online still? Do you still sell them?
We're not selling them online right now. We're mostly just looking to connect with people who are looking to. It's kind of changed over from that because we weren't doing tons of sales, but I'm working on kind of trying to bring that back with the team of kind of to help me kind of do a little bit more of digital marketing. And then once I kind of get that upswing, and then we're going to start to kind of try to go into the schools. So we're working on it. It's a slow moving process, but we're getting there.
Well, that's great. Just congratulations for attempting that. We always need to support our arts in the schools. What's that website in case someone listening is interested in helping you out? What's the website for your organization?
The website is musicgives.com. Or you can click through on my website, haydenmchugh.com. Then there's actually just a little button that says Music Gives that you can click on, and it'll take you to our website.
Very cool. Let's talk about a couple of your upcoming gigs. I mean, you just played this weekend at that espresso bar. I love coffee shop music. I love toned down acoustic music. How'd that go this weekend? You have fun?
Yeah, it was really great. It was mostly just kind of an entertain. They invited me out to come and entertain their people for a couple hours. I played lots of fun covers, but I really love doing more kind of dancey style performances. I'm getting to do this really fun Calgary Pride. It's a private event, so nobody can come, unfortunately. But it's a really fun Pride event. It's 2 in a row. I work for this company sometimes called Cirque de l'Ennui, and they pay me to come and basically do a theatrical style performance, kind of circus style, which is really fun, where I do a couple circusy style covers. And then the day before, there was a GSA event where they're inviting a bunch of kids out from GSAs to have their own Pride event. Pride sometimes has a tendency to be very adult orientated, and so they're putting on a Pride event for youth and teens to come out and to have one where it feels a little bit more a teen and kind of young adult orientated than for kids who aren't quite able to participate in the bar scene and things like that. And I'll get to perform Take You. I'll do the music video style live like I did last year, which is so much fun. And what else am I doing? And I'm performing at an opening release for my buddy King Dylan as well. His CD releases on June 1st, and so I'll be opening for there as well, which is super fun. His music is super upbeat and so like rap kind of fun, which is also like very fun hip hop. I always kind of define it. There's 2 in my head. There's rap and then there's hip hop, and his is hip hop, more like Salt and Pepper, which I like. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be great.
Very cool. And do you have if you had your choice of a dream collaboration, who would your dream collaborations be with?
Oh my goodness. I want to collaborate so bad with like Clean Bandit. I love them. Their like kind of house music mixed with classical music is so cool. And especially during new stuff, it's very poppy. I love it. And I would love to do like classic gay RuPaul kind of collaboration. Would be really fun. Just doing like a super fun house music. I would love that. And also Trixie Mattel. I love her so much, and it would be so cool to do. I love kind of like folk music, especially when it's kind of really solo acoustic guitar, or like I really love the song where she uses her auto harp. I love that. So I would love to work with her. And who else am I thinking of lately? I love that Sweet But I'm Psycho song by Ava Max, so that would be really fun to work with her as well. That one on the radio. I love that song.
I love it.
I love it.
All right, my friend. Well, we're running out of time here. Please let everyone know your website again, where they can find you on social media, and where can they find your music at?
You should look me up on Instagram because there's pictures of my butt there, so that's always the best. And so that's on Hayden McHugh on Instagram. You can also, or MCHUGH. I know some people struggle with the spelling of my last name. And you can go to my website, haydenmchugh.com, and look at all the music videos that I've got up there. I've got a bunch, as well as some live music videos that I spent so much money on. So you should watch them. Where I did some of the, like I did, for example, Take You in Calgary. I did live. Calgary, I did live with a solo cello, which was super cool to do. I never really kind of done a performance on my own with a live instrumentation, so that was really cool. Then we did Wicked Games as well, with a full acoustic band, like a violin and 2 guitars and the box drum player and everything. So that was super cool. And yeah, you can also find me on Twitter as well, Hayden McHugh, and Facebook as well, if you prefer those.
Very cool. Well, thank you for being a guest on the Left of Str8 Show, my friend. We have to have you come back with some new music. Been an absolute delight to talk to you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was so much fun to be talking to you guys today.
You are very welcome. Stay on the line for me. Guys, we'll be playing out in a couple of seconds here to Hayden's Wicked Games. When we come back, I'm excited to talk to my next guest today. We're going to have Josh Robbins on. You're listening to the Left of Str8 Show right here on Left of Str8 Radio Network.
Tell me that I'm not holy like you. Does this mark the end? Can you just keep pretending to love me? At least for a little while. Oh, the night's getting longer and I'm getting weaker. I'm hoping you'll save me like Yahweh and Jesus did long ago. Can you carry me into the light? Kiss me like you'll never see me again. 'Cause you'll wake up tomorrow and you won't remember my name. Kiss me like you know our world will end. Hey, you'll burn out the flame and I'll get out of this wicked game. Oh. There's nowhere to go. My heart ebbs and flows like you. How long have you been here? Can you just keep pretending to trust me? At least while the midnight oil burns. Oh, the night's getting longer and I'm getting weaker. I'm hoping you'll save me like Yahweh and Jesus did long ago. Can you carry me into the light? Kiss me like you'll never see me again. 'Cause you'll wake up tomorrow and you won't remember my name. Kiss me like you know our world will end. Yeah, you'll burn out the flame and I'll get out of this wicked game. Oh. You know our world will end. just want somebody to love me. I just want somebody to love me. Yeah, let me inside. I just want somebody to touch me. Can you carry me into the lights? Kiss me like you'll never see me again. 'Cause you'll wake up tomorrow and you won't remember my name. Kiss me like you know our world will end. Yeah, we'll burn out the flame and I'll get out of this wicked game. Oh.
Alrighty, and we are back. That is Wicked Games with our previous guest, Hayden McHugh. Check him out. Guys, I'm so excited for my next guest today. A great friend of the show introduced me. I hadn't really heard of him before, but boy, am I glad I did. You're going to be happy as well. He's taken his journey since becoming HIV positive back in 2012, combined it with his educational background in journalism, advertising, and marketing, and became both an amazing speaker and advocate for those living with HIV. Through TED Talks, being a spokesperson for dating positives, videos, and his own blog network, he's really making a difference in our LGBTQ community and our allies by getting information out that's both informative and necessary in today's dating world. So as I said, I'm excited to have him on. Please welcome to the show for the very first time, Mr. Josh Robbins. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing so great. I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to coming on and chatting with you today. And I have to tell you, I've been listening to your show now live for a couple, for the 2 hours before, and you guys are a riot. So thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm excited to have you on. Like I said, I honestly didn't know too much about you before, but a good friend of our show, he's a singer-songwriter, another different singer-songwriter, Kenneth Mogan. You're going to have to go check him out because he shows his butt on too, I think. But anyway, he sent me a message the other day. He said, you got to have this guy, Josh Robbins, on your show. He has some great information to share. He's cute as hell. And let him know that next time he's in LA, I want to have a date. So I said, okay, I'll do that. So I'm reaching out. We're going to talk about your story. And the next time in your LA, I've lined you up with a date already. So there you go. I'm the Left of Str8 matchmaking service right here.
Hey, I'm single and I can take it any place that I can get it, honestly. But yeah, no, this is how sweet of him to say that, all those things. So maybe some of it's true, maybe some of it's a lie. I don't know.
There you go. We'll do 3 truths and a lie next time you're on. I wasn't ready for a game today, but we'll play it next time. We'll get the real skinny. We'll have to guess what's not true.
Deal. Okay, deal. I'm gonna hold you to it.
I like it. We'll have you back anytime you want. I love you so much. I'd love you to have your own radio show on here. We haven't really addressed HIV enough. You do some amazing videos already and don't need a radio show, but I would put you on the air any day of the week and twice on Sundays, my friend. You're a great speaker.
Twice on Sundays. You sound like you're from the South, because we say that all the time down here. Twice on Sunday.
I am a wannabe Southern person. I think I should have been a Southern person. I say y'all a lot in my writing, and when I talk to people, I'm just a phony from all over. I was born in Southern California and have been banished to Northeast Ohio, so I don't have one trace of Southern in me, but I fake it well. So there you go.
Hey, but that's all right. That's good. You can be honorary Southern. How about that?
I love that. Thank you. Let's start with a little bit of background, Josh. Tell me about where you grew up, what kind of a kid were you, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, so I'm going to start in reverse from what you just said. I wanted to be, when I grew up, I wanted to be the first part of my life, I wanted to be a stripper. And the second part of my life, I wanted to be a preacher. Because I grew up in West. No, true story. I told my parents that and all that. So I grew up in West Tennessee in a small town, Jackson, between Nashville and Memphis. And yeah, so I, have a sister and two younger brothers, and kind of like a mixed family, parents divorced and remarried each. And so I got really lucky having a really strong support system and family, kind of unit that was mixed. And I was the kid that wished that I could play basketball better because I wished that I was taller. And so instead I went and started doing, theater shows in Jackson. And, I did all the shows that you do, including like getting to fly on stage with Peter Pan. They brought in like the big, like stage crew, and then Pippin, that show. And I had a really strong, like sense of like, I don't know. I thought I belonged kind of in the performing arts, at least when I was younger. And I got really lucky. I had a high school theater teacher that was also an actress, and she had a talent agent in Nashville and Memphis and Little Rock and that sort of thing. And she kind of introduced me to like the profession of the entertainment industry. And so she really opened that door for me. And I went to New York, and right after high school, and went to an acting school, and I hated New York. I'm so Southern because I lived in the Upper West Side, and I'll tell you this, I went into I went into a McDonald's in New York City the first week that I was there, and I was so green and talked so slow. And so I did the order, and the cashier, she said to me, "Hey, so what brings you to New York?" I guess she could tell I was brand new. And I was like, "Oh, I'm an actor." I said, "Oh, I'm an actor." And she turned around, she threw the French fries in the bag and handed the bag to me and said, "Aren't we all?" And that was like my introduction at that moment to the real world. And I was like, right. Oh, wow. And so I threw on the brakes and was like, wait a minute, like, I was a big fish in a small pond. I don't like auditioning. And so New York is not for me. So I literally moved home, like right after that. But yeah, I've grown up in Tennessee, and I lived here, and I went to school here and got a degree at the, university here in journalism. And yeah, and so that's kind of my backstory.
Nice.
When so I came out as gay to my family when I was 25. God, it feels like tomorrow. People always say this, when you get older, time flies. When, and you always think when you're younger, like, I have no idea what they're talking about. But yeah, I mean, at 25, I came out of the closet, and actually had to come out of the closet twice to my mom because she was suffering. She was on a lot of medication because of multiple sclerosis at the time. And so the first time I came out to her, she didn't remember that I came out. And so
oh my goodness,
we laugh about it.
Oh my
we
goodness.
laugh about it now. Mom is doing really great, but we laugh about it now. But I lived for 6 months believing that my mom knew that I was gay and I had a boyfriend and all of that. And then about 6 months later, I got a call from my sister saying, "Hey, warning, Mom's about to call you." And I'm like, okay. And she called and was like, "Hey, I have a question. Are you gay?" And I was like, "We discussed this 6 months ago, but sure, let me come out of the closet again, Mom."
Oh my goodness.
which is kind of perfect. But yeah, so that's kind of
that is kind of cool.
Back.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm glad
it wasn't for the time, but yeah, no, Mama's doing really well. She actually last year or 2 years ago, she climbed to the top of a rock wall at her gym. She trained all year, and in the 12th month, she finally hit the top. She's doing so good now. So she's really been somebody that, and we can talk about this in a bit, but she has been really somebody that helped me a lot in terms of how to begin to cope with having like a chronic illness, particularly,
Nice.
that affects your immune system. Yeah. So I kind of have that built-in
that's
support
great
as
to have
well.
that.
So
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Let's start with the backstory a little bit. You were already living near the Nashville area and working with local organizations, and even was in an HIV vaccine trial. It wasn't the source of your diagnosis, but talk about that early life and your early activism after you came out.
Yeah, so early after I came out of the closet, I got approached by someone who was pretty cute actually, and he was a recruiter for the HIV vaccine study at Vanderbilt, and so I took the meeting because I wanted to know more about what was going on, and I'm not going to say that I was a huge like advocate for those living with HIV because I really didn't know a ton about it. I did know to wear a ribbon on certain days, and I knew that it was important in context of like the gay community to, be understanding and have some type of like empathy or whatever for people that were living with HIV. Although I had never been told by anybody that they were HIV positive that I knew. And so I had gotten enrolled in the Vanderbilt HIV vaccine study because it was a cause. I thought I was doing something really important as a healthy gay man,
Right.
kind of allowing myself to get into that process. And I'm really glad I did. Now, the vaccine that I was a part of was the HVTN 505 vaccine. And of course, that vaccine study got kind of squashed by the government because it just wasn't effective. And but because of that and me being involved, they asked me if I wanted to be on the posters in all the bathrooms in Nashville for the HIV vaccine. And so my little former actor self kind of, put the hair behind my ears and, perked up and smiled real big and was like, of course. And so I literally became a poster child or poster boy for HIV vaccine study, for that study and just in general for like HIV kind of advocacy when I was negative.
Right.
And then on December the 18th, I had sex with someone who didn't know that they were living with HIV. And about 3 weeks later, I got really, really sick. I'm talking about every symptom that's classic, like HIV infection symptom, even though I didn't initially even think that at all.
Right.
But I had the sweat, the flu-like symptoms, the headache, all that stuff. And I went to one of those minute clinics, the ones you see where they're like, yeah, come in 5 minutes and we'll get you taken care of. And so I went to one of those, things. And they thought that I had the flu or, like a virus or something. And they gave me medicine and sent me home. Well, the next day I woke up and I had 30 ulcers in my mouth. I mean, it was the most painful thing ever. And so I did what every good consumer would do. I marched my happy ass right back to that place and was like, look, y'all have messed me up even more because I'm allergic to this. and they left me in. It's funny now. I mean, I'm like, God, why did I even try to go be that consumer? But when they left me in the room for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then the doctor walked back in and he said, we need to talk about your risky activity. And that phrase made my heart, drop to my stomach. And I was like, oh God. And he said, yeah, we actually want to test you for HIV. And my eyes probably got huge and, bugged out of my head. And I explained to him that I actually couldn't take an HIV test with him, which was bizarre to him. But when you're in an HIV vaccine study, you commit to only being screened in the clinic where the study's happening. Because if you get an HIV vaccine, you could develop antibodies that would make a regular HIV test positive, and you're not positive.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and so I was like, whoa, this was on a Friday. I was like, I'm going to go and get tested. I'll call the clinic. And I went out to my car and called. And, of course, they couldn't get me in until Monday. Let me tell you.
Oh, my goodness.
Between that Friday and Monday, the world stopped and time ticked as slow as, And, but I went in and the clinic was great on that Monday, and they screened me and sent off the stuff. And after 2 more confirmation tests, then on January 24th, 2012, I was diagnosed with a positive viral load. And that's the video that I shared on YouTube of my actual diagnosis.
Well, talk about that video. It's been seen by over 1 million people. I mean, very brave to do it to begin with. It sounds like from the way you were talking to people at the clinic, you kind of was almost expecting a positive diagnosis. What was that day like for you going in there?
Yeah, I don't know that anyone ever expects or knows how to accept a positive diagnosis. I mean, HIV was the only thing as a gay man that I had ever feared in my whole life.
Right.
And it was kind of ingrained from church, growing up in church, that, the homosexuals, that was like a punishment from God that they would get. And that was the result of their sin. And that was kind of in my brain. And then I also had these feelings of, oh my God, I'm a poster boy right now as being HIV negative all over this town. And it absolutely, if I'm positive, has nothing to do with the vaccine, but people could perceive that as being the reason why I was infected. And I could be, and I thought that, this great thing that I was doing, I was about to be very damning to it, because I would make people, stop and think or question the vaccine study. And then I was just disappointed in myself if that was the case. And so for those 3 weeks where I was waiting on that final diagnosis, I mean, I can't tell you how many nights I fell asleep on my floor in my Nashville, apartment, like falling asleep on the floor, crying my eyes out because I wanted to do anything possible to make it not true if that was the case. And I started these like negotiations with God. We all do it, where it's like when you go out one night and you come up, and you wake up and you're so hungover and you're like, I swear to God, I'm never going to drink again.
Right.
If I can just get through this. And so I started kind of having those same exact type of like negotiations in my mind with God. Like, I swear to God, I will never have sex again if I can just be negative. Okay. And so for 3 weeks, that was kind of my life, and I didn't tell anybody. But by the time that the day came for me to go to the clinic and get the final diagnosis, everything in me already told me that it was going to be a positive result. But I knew that I just had to go get it. The reason why I recorded it, I wasn't some like weird dude that just wanted to monetize an HIV diagnosis. I actually recorded it and audio recorded it because my mom is a nurse. She's a registered nurse. And so I knew that because of, her medical situation and her diagnosis of MS, that as soon as I found out, we had already promised each other that if there was ever anything medical that was going on, that we would immediately tell each other and my family, that we wouldn't try to like decide if they could handle it or that sort of thing. And so I had decided that after I got the result, if it was positive, I would travel to my hometown and I would look my family members in the eye and tell them that I was HIV positive. And so the reason I recorded it was so that during those like talks, if they had questions, I could just play exactly what the clinic said to them. Because I may not remember everything that was said. So that's really like the reason behind it all. After like 2 or 3 weeks of being diagnosed, I thought about having those videos and the audio recording, and I said this might be really something important for other people to hear. And it was part of the launch of my blog, I'mStillJosh.com, and I put the video up on YouTube. And I didn't know at the time, and it still is to my understanding, the folks at Google New York City and YouTube have kind of confirmed this, but it's the only video on YouTube of someone actually being diagnosed recorded live. Everything else is like a dramatization or like a reenactment or, right, something fake. But I think that is why that video has been, watched by so many people, because it's as real life as you can get with a fear that people all over the world can understand. I mean, if you have sex, then you have thought about HIV or have worried about it at least. And so, so that's kind of where I came from, and what launched me as a activist. I didn't wake up one day and go, oh, I want to be an activist. I woke up one day and felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I thought, I can't not talk about this. I can't. So if that means I'm going to lose my family, then so be it. Of course that wouldn't happen. If I was going to lose friends because I was going to talk about HIV, then fine. I will be the dude with HIV with no friends. If it meant that I wasn't going to be in love anymore, then that was fine. I mean, that was the mentality that I had in launching that blog, and the name just came from the fact that I couldn't think of a better name that day.
Well, I think it's a great name, and it's very true. I do have a couple of quick questions on the video.
Yeah.
From the way the video is edited, it looks like you went alone. Did you go alone for this, and would you recommend that to others? I think that'd be scary. I'd have to have someone with me.
Yeah. So again, I had an amazing group of like clinicians and researchers because of the HIV vaccine study that I was a part of. So I knew them really well. I mean, I had already spent like a year and a half with them almost, every other week kind of thing. And so they were definitely my support group there. Some people, I think it's up to people. It's up to individuals. I mean, some people would want to go by themselves because if they get the news, they want to kind of process it alone. Other people, right, I think, know that they won't be able to process it very well alone, and they need somebody there to hold their hand or hug them or cry with them or just listen to them or just sit silently with them. Like I think everybody kind of processes it differently. But for me, I knew that if it was positive, it wouldn't be very long before I was with my family. And so that was the plan, and I kind of stuck to it. But I pre-planned my trip home and pre-packed my bag and all that good stuff. So if it was a positive result, I literally would be, on the way home right after.
Right. Right. I saw that. I love that part of it. And talk about that. I mean, you say you're going directly to the family and you look like you're all planning for it. You look at the very end. You're holding up really well for the whole video. You're looking a little pissed at the end about what's going on there, which I don't blame you at all. Talk about your feelings, though, once you turned that video off and on that plane ride to your parents. How'd you hold up?
Well, so in context, like the plane ride home, it sounds a lot more dramatic than it was. Jackson is only like 2 hours from Nashville. However, there was a new flight service, like one of those small planes that had a special for $25, right, each way. And so I was like, oh yeah. So I bought that plane ticket each way. I tell you that I think that it was a really good idea because I was so scared of that plane ride when I was on it that I didn't have a ton of time to like just be selfishly, focused on
right.
on what had just happened to me. I was like in fight in survival mode on this plane, you know.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
I've never taken that flight again. It was an experience, but you know, walking outside the doors, when the very last thing that I said in the video, some people I think on YouTube have taken that as if I was blaming God. The exact phrase was, what I said was, in all things, you know, give thanks. Thanks, God. That was actually from my upbringing in church as a kid, that it was something that came on my heart, and it was something that I was sincere about, that no matter what happens to you in your life, you know, I was taught as a kid to always give thanks. That, you know, it was scripture, and you know, I have a really, and still do, I have a really deep faith, and so I was sincerely saying, thank you, God, not because of the diagnosis, but because we're supposed, you know, I was taught to give thanks in all things. So that's kind of that explanation on that. It wasn't like blaming any, you know, obviously God didn't have sex with somebody. I did. And so, you know, that was just part of it. But when I turned the camera off, I was so focused on the plan that I had initiated, which was to get home to my hometown in front of my family and give them the news that it didn't stop. And the plan didn't stop until I, you know, closed my eyes that night when I got home.
Right. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I have such bad hearing, and I guess I'm so vain. I thought you said thanks Scott, like Scott's the one that gave you HIV or something. So I was all messed up. Never mind. I'm glad you cleared that up. I was blaming myself for a brief moment there. So I'm very happy for the Scots of the world that it's not our fault. Yay!
There you go. There you go.
Let's get into the advocacy a bit. You come back here from Tennessee now, and you start this advocacy. You had an amazing TED Talk. I'm a huge TED Talk watcher. I probably watch at least one or two a week. You've been a GLAAD nominee for all you've done. Your blog has won Best Blog in 2017, Best HIV Blog. Talk about your journey into becoming the speaker and advocate. What's it been like for you? What's the learning process been? What's been some of the great things that have actually come from this disease? And what's been kind of the things you've learned about yourself, good or bad?
Yeah. I mean, that is a huge question. I mean, you compounded everything in there. So I guess you're getting me back for saying Scott at the end of my video.
You can go one at a time and take your time.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I didn't plan to be an HIV activist. I never intended to be somebody that people look to speak up on issues that were important, or to be, this like sexual health influencer. I started because I just wanted to share my story, and I wanted to do it in a way that was authentic and real, and accurate. I didn't want anyone to tell my story besides me. I wanted to be the first one to do it. And so that's why I started the blog. Now, 6 months after I started I'mStillJosh.com, I had a real big problem on my hands, because I was done talking about myself, per se. I mean, how many times can I just tell people that I'm living with HIV? That I started opening the blog and platform for other people to start sharing their journey and their stories, as well as being somebody that, I get off on scooping people. I have a journalism degree, and so being able to scoop big national news organizations on, HIV-related news, and that just really excited me. But I also get bored really easily. And so that is why I had all these different avenues of trying to reach people and share this, this message of just living well. I mean, if you boil my advocacy down to one thing, it's just encouragement for people that are living with HIV to continue to live really, really well in spite of having HIV. And so all of that aside, that's where any of the podcast stuff that I was doing, or videos that have come out, or writing. I mean, I'm a terrible writer, but it all comes from that desire of like me just naturally being a nerd for technology and being an early adopter. So I didn't know how to publish an ebook, and so I wrote 2 ebooks just to get them published. I couldn't get a speaking gig until I had a book. Well, I'm like, okay, well then I published a picture book. I guess nobody checks when they start looking at like for speakers. They just saw, oh, he's an author. Well, my first book was literally a picture book. But I was like, I have to have a book in order to get speaking gigs. I got approached by the TEDx people here in Nashville to give a talk, and you know, I'm going to be real honest here. I said yes before I even really knew what it was. I just thought, oh great, yeah, this is cool. I'll do it. I had seen a couple like TED Talks and TEDx Talks online, but I didn't know that this is the biggest secret of my advocacy. I didn't know that they weren't teleprompted. Did you know that?
I did.
The TEDx talk.
I didn't know it until I went to my first one, but I did not know that at first. No.
Okay. Well, I think they should include that information in the invitation. Okay.
Right.
Because
oh God,
every video that I do is teleprompted. Like literally, I write the script out. And I have a teleprompter. Even when Vine was a thing back, you know, several years ago, and they're like 7-second videos or something, everything is teleprompted because that is where I'm comfortable and that is the easiest to edit, right? Well, I said yes to this talk in Nashville, and I didn't know that it wasn't teleprompted. And so when they first called and everybody was on the line, I was excited and green. I asked that question. Well, great. Where are the teleprompters? Like, are they in the front or on the side, or how are we doing that? And they started laughing and was like, oh no, this is all, you know, this is a memorized talk. And I was like, oh God.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no. Yeah. So, you know, like that part was nerve wracking. But the experience of giving a talk in front, you know, in that venue and in that context with that group of people was really, really amazing, and it was inspiring to be able to walk away with a cool video that has now been shared by, you know, the TED organization, and really cool images, and going through the process of, you know, of getting to do something that I was really scared of, which was giving a memorized talk like that.
Right.
But I think it also really helped me get ready for other speaking gigs. So when I've gone to schools or universities and been able to, you know, stand in front of people and just talk openly and honestly about my journey and what I'm about, I think that the TED actually helped with that. And there's been really big news in the HIV space in the past couple of years. You know, I'll be the first to say that when I was negative, I'm ashamed, but it happened. You know, if somebody would tell me that they were like undetectable or HIV positive on a dating website or a dating app, like I did exactly what I beg people not to do now, which is I blocked people because I was so scared of HIV that I thought that was the way to handle it. That if it was out of sight and out of mind, that it wouldn't be my problem. Now, I was wrong. Blocking people isn't like a prevention method. It doesn't work, especially because, you know, 20% of gay men, according to a survey out of the UK last year, like 20% of gay men have never even been tested. So when they say negative, they don't really even know the answer. So, like, it just doesn't work that way. But because of that, you know, all of those experiences, it allowed me to create this platform that then opened up to a crazy ton of opportunity and a really honest, like, invested audience and followers that I consider my friends on all the social platforms. And people have told me, you know, the day that I was diagnosed, I was the only person that I knew that was HIV positive. You know, now fast forward, you know, 7 years, I've literally talked to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people and heard their stories in Nashville and Tennessee in the U.S., even outside of the country. And And people now look to me as a responsible kind of party of having, and people look to me for my opinion on HIV-related stuff. And so in the past couple of years, I got the chance to, help out and get on board early with the U=U campaign, undetectable equals untransmittable. What that means is somebody that is living with HIV that has an undetectable viral load, which is the goal. If you get on, HIV meds, you'll become undetectable. That if somebody's undetectable, they cannot transmit the virus to their sexual partner, even without a condom or PrEP. Like that news is huge. And so because of all of these steps that I took with my advocacy, I was able to get and work with these individuals that were kind of launching this informational campaign and movement at the very beginning. And that's been really, really rewarding. And I think it was from those kind of things that I got the attention of Dating Positives, which is.
I want to talk about Dating Positives for just a second, because it's a great organization. But I want to go back and reverse this a second, because when you were diagnosed, there wasn't PrEP. There wasn't PrEP 7 years ago. So talk about dating life immediately after a diagnosis. Were you scared to death to even approach it, or how did you kind of mentally get through that in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, how I mentally got through it was right after diagnosis. Then, I wasn't interested in having sex at all. With that kind of desire immediately. Now, it returned rather quickly, but, early on, right after diagnosis, like having sex, I was afraid of myself, let alone like absolutely terrified that I could actually expose somebody or infect somebody. And so that was the last thing that was immediately on my mind. Like I said, that changed, but I was terrified not so much of just the stigma or people rejecting me. I was scared that I didn't want to die, and I certainly didn't want to do anything that would expose anybody or put anybody at risk. And that actually statistically, according to research, that people that are living with HIV actually overstate their infectionness because they're so aware and so scared that they could infect somebody, and they don't want anyone to ever experience what we've gone through with the diagnosis. And so it was a real growing up moment for me to realize that I wasn't invincible, and two, now my body had the potential, or at least in my mind, to be this viral creature, and I didn't want to hurt anybody. And so, that is the kind of a self-stigmatization, but it certainly isn't helped with the very, very crude comments of people like, sending all HIV positive people to an island and then, killing them off, and that would end the epidemic. So all of those things weren't very helpful. And I also think that that's too why mental health is such an important part of the discussion with HIV, particularly after someone is diagnosed, because in that first year after diagnosis, people, you are 5 times more likely to commit or attempt suicide than the general population. And so, it was a really, I think, hard moment to live through, but I did. And I made it out on the other side. And now with the U=U campaign and movement, I feel free. People, of course, there's stigma that still exists, but I reject that. I'm not allowing stigma to speak into my life. I'm not infecting anybody. I'm healthy. I'm the healthiest that I've ever been. I go to the doctor more than anybody that I know.
That's great.
I've tested for everything more than anybody that I know. But yeah, you're right. PrEP wasn't available. If PrEP was available, I would have been on it. I was a great candidate because I slept around a lot. And not only would I be a great candidate because of the risk, but because it prevents HIV. So I'm not trying to associate PrEP as sleeping around a lot. That's stigmatizing. My point is that I was somebody that, because I was at risk for HIV, I should have been on PrEP. It wasn't around when I was diagnosed. That is the luck of the draw. You know, I think it was like the later that year that PrEP actually was approved. And that's one of those moments where you hit your head and you're like, dang, man, I wish. But because of my diagnosis, I was really, really actually well informed on PrEP before everyone else. And so I was able to help kind of with the rollout and community advocacy for people to talk to their doctors about it. And also to challenge big insurance companies and big corporations that were refusing to cover this medication for people that were negative.
Right.
And, you know, looking at people and going, oh, you should use a condom. Well, you know, frankly, like, besides condoms not being approved for anal sex, they're only approved for vaginal intercourse by the FDA. Like, condoms haven't thwarted the HIV epidemic at all. So they may work for some people, but there's a whole lot of people that condoms only, or being the only option, isn't effective. And so that's why I was excited that PrEP came out, and I'm really excited that it continues to grow, and people every day are becoming more and more aware, and we just got more work to do. We got to get more people on it. We got to get access to marginalized communities, and, you know, the work never ends.
Well said. All right, well, let's transition to Dating Positives. Fantastic organization and website. Talk about how you came across this, and you end up becoming their spokesperson, which is great.
Yeah, no, so Dating Positives has been a really, really exciting opportunity for me. So they approached me and just reached out to me, and I hadn't heard of their site, and for good reason. They just launched, and they said that they were launching this new dating website for positive people. And I was like, oh, okay, great. I was single. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to say no to the opportunity to find a date. But Dating Positives is not only for people that are living with HIV. There's a variety of other STIs, but the main focus of Dating Positives is really what they're doing on waxo.com. So it's spelled like wax, WAX, and then OH.com. Which is the multimedia community for LGBTQIA positive that have been actively engaged and talk about sexual health in a really smart and cool way. They're I've written some stuff and done some videos on waxo.com, but even prominent writers like Zachary Zane, he is now contributing to this publication online. And so you can get a date, you can sign up if you want to hook up, or if you want a date, or if you want a friend, or you just want to see what it's about. That's Dating Positives. If you just want to find out more information about the LGBTQIA positive, community, or issues that are important to us, whether it be about sexual health or, just how to be a good person or get through life, that is the waxo.com connection.
Nice.
Yeah. And so actually there's I'm going to announce today that Dating Positives online magazine Waxo is a media sponsor for New York City World Pride on June the 30th, which is going to be a heck of a lot of fun, Pride Fest, and they're going to have a booth at the parade. And yeah. Are
they sending you out there? Are they going to send you there?
Of course. You think they're going to be at Pride, World Pride, New York City World Pride as a media sponsor, and not have me there? They better. I was going to say. I'm coming.
Nice.
But
I like it.
They're going to announce. They told me that additional details are going to be released on Waxo and then on their social media channels, which is at Dating Positives on Twitter and Instagram. So, so that's
fantastic. Cool. I love that. Yeah. That is so great. Yeah, New York is going to be bustling this year, man. Between World Pride, regular Pride, and 50th anniversary of Stonewall, you're going to be having a good time had by all, my friend. It's going to be good. Good for you.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. New York is so much fun to visit. Remember I lived there and I didn't like it. But going back for a visit, I walk in.
There you go.
The New York. I walk in like I own it. But
I like it.
Yeah,
Now I did see one of your videos on Wax over there, so I do have to ask you. You kind of promised yourself in 2019 you were going to give 4 goals for yourself, and I have to test you on how you're doing on your goals. You were going to be less picky and go on more dates. How has that worked out so far? How many dates have we been on in 2019?
Okay, so, well, I'm not going to tell you exactly how many dates because I don't know. I mean, I could count them up. But I can tell you this. Yes, I have expanded the normal, the previous normal, closed-minded, focus of what I thought my type was. And I tell you that this year has been the most fun of dates that I've ever had because I don't research people down on social media before I go with them on a public date. I don't do what I used to do, which was really study every tweet or Facebook or Instagram post they have. I allow people to just introduce themselves to me, and
that's a whole other problem besides being cute and HIV, my friend. We'll have to talk about that off air. Yeah, I'm glad we're switching that up.
Yeah, so I've gone on a ton more dates, and I have not gone on any coffee dates.
Good for you. Now, I like coffee dates, but I understand where you're coming from on there because I am a coffee fiend. Now, how many people have you actually asked? You said you were going to be a little more assertive this year. Are you doing better in that area?
No.
No?
So, I haven't. I know. I haven't made the progress that I need to make, but that's why it's a goal, right? I committed to do it, and I still got years and years. But I can tell you that that I'm trying to do better, and you have reminded me of that goal now, and I'm embarrassed. But I'm being honest. I haven't done as well as I should have, but I will.
There's no shaming, no embarrassment. I'm just checking in here.
Okay.
And then finally, you said you were going for the date, not the hookup. So you sounds like you found some quality dates out of it and had some fun. You've had some dates.
Yes, that is true. That is
nice.
Okay, I've done.
Very cool.
Okay, I've had those.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right, we're running out of time, and I have about another page worth of questions for you. So we're going to have you back sometime here in the near future. Okay. But do me a favor, talk about the upcoming events. I know that you have something coming on through Dating Positives. Talk about that for June, unless that's what we're talking about for the big World Pride. Give everyone your blog website. Give a quick talk about the Digital Encouragement Wall and where they can find you on social media.
Okay, cool. So, again, I'm Josh Robbins. My blog is imstilljosh.com. You can find me on any relevant social media platform at imstilljosh. If you want to find videos that I'm making or producing for Dating Positives, they're all on waxo.com. So it's WAX like wax and then OH.com. And Dating Positives always shares or retweets all those videos on their social platforms, which are at Dating Positives on Instagram and Twitter. So, and the last thing is if you want to go on a date with someone really, really cool and awesome, maybe me, you just have to go to datingpositives.com and sign up to be a member. So that is
there you go.
And then June 30th, Pride Fest, New York City World Pride. Waxo is the media sponsor, Dating Positives online magazine, and we will have a booth at the parade. So there you go.
Nice. Super duper. Josh, it has been so great getting to know you. We definitely have to have you back soon. Thanks for being on the Left of Str8 Show, my friend.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And hey, I just want to brag one more time that I'm in shorts and t-shirt right now.
You know what?
We had talked about.
You were doing so good for a while there, and now you brought me back there. So we're going to have little issues once we get off air here in a second. Please stay on the line for me, my friend.
You embarrass me, I embarrass you. I will.
Oh, man.
Thank you so
It's
much.
been so great talking to you. Stay on the line for me. We're going to talk off air in a second. Guys, a big shout out and a big thank you to both my guests today. I really appreciate Josh coming on. Thank you so much for Hayden coming on early. We're going to play out with another Hayden Joseph, in just a couple of seconds with Thrill of the Chase. Be sure to be back here tomorrow, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to be talking to my good buddy Jay Knight out of New York, who has a brand new single out. And then I'm going to be reuniting a couple of my favorite Gleeks. We're going to have Artie and Tina, good old Jenna Ushkowitz, and Kevin McHale from Glee coming on the show to talk about their new podcast, Showman. So it's going to be a great show tomorrow. So let's go ahead and play off here. Thanks for listening to Left of Str8 Radio right here on Left of Str8 Radio Network. Have a great day, everybody.
This was fun. I hope we do it again. But make me wait a while before giving in. 'Cause if it's too easy, I am gonna get bored. Give me a lift so I'm bound to want more. I'm not a fan of feeling sure. It ain't higher education, the perfect reputation that keep me on the edge of my seat. You don't need $1 million or labels on your collar. That ain't how my interest is peaked. It ain't about putting down, but rather casting some doubt on the way that you're feeling. Keep me wondering how long you might make me wait. I'm all about the thrill of the chase. When I ask you for that second drink, tell me that you're always too busy. If I send you a text, say go out and respond. Give me 3 little dots and turn your red receipts on. Make me think I got it wrong. It ain't higher education, the perfect reputation that keep me on the edge of my seat. You don't need $1 million, the labels on your collar. That ain't how my interest is peaked. It ain't about putting down, but rather casting some doubt on the way that you're feeling. Keep me wondering how long you might make me wait. I'm all about the thrill of the chase. So many are cute, so many are sweet, but I keep those around who make me think on my feet. I think we can all agree it ain't higher education or perfect reputations that keep us on the edge of our seats. They don't need $1 million or labels on their collars. That ain't how our interests are peaked.